Welcome to the Fibromyalgia Podcast. I'm your coach, Tami Stackelhouse, and this is episode 166. Today, I'm joined by certified fibromyalgia coach, Micky Beaton. We'll be talking about how you can create a reliable self-care routine that actually fits into your life. We'll talk about what self-care is and what it isn't, as well as give you some practical tips for how you can start incorporating self-care into your real life. Too often we think self-care is too expensive or takes too much time. If that is you, be sure and stay tuned. This episode is for you. Now, let me introduce you to our guest. Diagnosed with fibromyalgia 20 plus years ago, Micky Beaton spent many of those years searching for answers. This led her on a deep, fulfilling journey towards well-being, self-sufficiency, and independence. In 2016, she became certified as a life coach. In 2017, she completed a thanatology diploma to gain deeper understanding of the grief which can accompany health loss. And then in 2018, she joined my Certified Fibromyalgia Advisor and then Certified Fibromyalgia Coach training programs. And these, she says, were game changers to radically improve her symptoms and to change her career. Micky now dedicates her time to help and support others who are struggling, sharing her gained knowledge through firsthand experience and training, focusing on mindset and self-care transformation with the firm belief that these are essential for symptom relief and quality of life. Micky is one of the coaches you can schedule a consultation with through our Find a Coach page. To schedule with Micky, just go to findafibrocoach.com or use the link in today's show notes at fibromyalgiapodcast.com/166. I also invite you to stay tuned after my conversation with Micky for some additional resources and information on our next Fibromyalgia Wellness Summit. We are going to be focusing in that summit on how to get through the holidays. So Micky is going to be sharing specific information during that summit on how you can continue to practice good self-care during the crazy holiday season. So make sure you keep listening after the interview and I'll share more information on that summit. Now, here's my conversation with certified fibromyalgia coach, Micky Beaton. Hi, Micky. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Tami. Thank you very much. It's lovely to be here.
Awesome. So today we are going to be talking about how to build a reliable self-care routine. And I suppose in parentheses behind that, we might even say when your life is in chaos, because that happens to all of us. I was having a day like that today before we hopped on here, and I know your life is a little bit like that too. So I'm excited to share some ideas with people because I think self-care is one of the first things that tends to go when life gets busy, right? We tend to think that doesn't matter, that can wait. I don't need to do that. But actually the opposite is true. That's when we need our self-care even more.
Yes, not push it back, not push it into the back. It needs to come forward.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So let's start a little bit with your story. You haven't been on the podcast before, so I'd love to give our audience a chance to get to know you just a little bit. So tell us a little bit about you, about your just your fibro journey. When were you diagnosed? What was that like for you?
I was diagnosed in early 2000s. So I've 2000. I've had fibro for 20 odd years now. And I think a lot of, people listening will find similarities in the way that went to see so many doctors. I've got this, I've got that, I've got, until I suddenly thought, it can't be possible to be having all these symptoms and to have all these different things. So I finally landed with a rheumatologist who said, "Oh, I think you have fibromyalgia." And I thought, what on earth? I'd never heard of it, honest to God. And I said, "Oh, okay, what's that?" And she said, "Well, it's like rheumatism, but of the soft parts." And that's how it got explained, right? So I thought,
That's not a
okay,
bad
it's
explanation,
not a
really.
bad, no, it's not. And she said, so things that can come into play might be the muscles, the ligaments, the tendons. No mention of nerves, no mention of nerves there, or of, having heightened sensitivity or none of that, none of that. So I said, well, okay, what do you do with this? At the moment, it sounded like the end of the world because I'd been diagnosed with something, but I didn't know what it was.
Right.
Uh, and she
Yeah.
said, well, you can take antidepressants. And I thought, antidepressants for pain? Really? I mean, it just was weird. And she said, and you're just going to have to change your life. And that's where the floor fell out. It was like, what do you mean change my life? I've got 4 kids to raise. I've got a full-time job when I don't have two, to try and make ends meet. And so I just pushed, Tami. I pushed, I crashed. There were days when I didn't understand. I just couldn't understand what all this fiber was about. There was not all that much information. So I just did. I pushed and crashed for years, actually. Um, and then I remember going to the doctor because I had pain in my no, in my shoulders. I couldn't take a sweater off. I couldn't put a vest, nothing. And he said, I'm going to give you antidepressants. And I still wasn't tying things together.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right.
And he did. And at that time, it was amitriptyline. And it really helped. So I thought, oh, okay. So maybe there is something to this, taking antidepressants for pain. I just couldn't understand it. Because okay, so the serotonin, if the levels are up, and if and it helps with pain and it helps with everything. So I thought, okay, took it for 6 months, and that was enough. Um, but then, of course, I kept looking, and I was coming up to a certain point where I thought, at some stage, I'm going to retire. And then what? So I thought, oh, I know, I'm going to start life coaching because it's what I like. I like helping people. It's always been my thing. From
Mm-hmm.
being an executive secretary, I couldn't think of anything better than helping people. Uh, so I did the life coaching course, and then when it ended, I thought, yeah, okay, what do I want to do with this? And I said, oh, I know. I like it. I'm going to help people with fibromyalgia. So I started designing something. And then I realized that I was missing a lot of information. I
Right.
didn't, there was no way that I could just because I had it and I'd worked some things out, it was not a lot. And I thought, okay, so I wonder if there's anything like fibromyalgia coaching. And I searched and I looked and I couldn't find anything. And then there was you, IFCI, IFCI, the advisor course that really appealed because of the format and because uh, you learn things for yourself, right? Before you can do
Yep.
it for others,
Yep.
which is fundamental.
Mm-hmm. It's
So,
also super important too, like you were saying at the
yeah.
beginning, just because you figured out what worked for you doesn't mean it's
Hmm.
what's going to work for somebody else. And so I think that's
No,
another important piece. If you're listening to this and you're thinking, "Oh, I'm going to coach people with fibromyalgia." What you did for you isn't enough. I mean, it's a great
no,
start. It's absolutely a great start, but it fibromyalgia is one of those things where not the same thing works for all the people, right?
No.
And in our advisor course, we talk about all the things.
All the things. And it's an incredibly wide range of things.
Yeah.
I mean, if I thought I was going to go into this and sort of do, okay, I'll do A, B, and C. No, it was A, B, C, D, E, F.
The
I
whole
mean,
alphabet.
the whole thing. But it was an eye opener because I learned a lot. And then I felt like, okay, this is better. I'm more prepared. I studied I got a thanatology diploma to be able to have this comprehension that I think everyone goes through about grief. And grief and illness, there is a process as well because you don't
Absolutely.
recognize who you are. It's like this body is not me. And it's not that it's not you, it's still you, but it's gonna take a different shape. And it doesn't necessarily have to be bad, right?
That's right.
You get the positives, believe it or not, and this is what I want everyone to remember. You get the positives from this transformation. Um, like it is with any other sort of chronic, condition. Let's call it a condition. I think it's kind of so,
Yeah.
yeah. And then after doing that for a year, I think I then said, okay, I was interested in doing your coaching course as well. So did that. Um, and that's another eye opener. It's a different sort of, you know, aspect altogether. And then I actually finished recently a sleep coaching course. So yes, it's like putting things together, you
That's
know,
right. Yeah.
to to help support, to help guide, to help people implement this self-care,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and and how to ask for help, how to find better doctors. I don't know. I just thought it was a brilliant idea, and I still do. And I think as the years go by, the passion for this coaching people with fibromyalgia just grows. I thought, well, as I'll get older, I'll probably have to. And I thought, no. And then I keep thinking, no, I'm not ready to hang up, to hang up the boxing gloves.
That's right.
This is really good.
Yes.
It's
Yes. And
I'm
there's still people to help too.
Yeah, there's still people to help. I'm learning from all my clients.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, I help them and they help me, right? It's like a two-way, it's like a highway sort of thing.
Hmm. I know. I don't
Um,
know how you feel about this, but I always think that, being a coach is why I'm doing as well as I'm doing, why my fibromyalgia
well,
is in
yes,
remission.
it keeps you, every now and again you say something and you think, excuse me.
Tap, tap, tap.
Tap,
You
tap,
should listen
tap.
to that too.
Yes, reminder. Look in the mirror.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Because, having a lifelong condition, I mean, I talk about my fibromyalgia being in remission, but that doesn't mean that I can just ignore that I ever had it, right? Like I want it to stay that way. So it's something I'm always thinking about, right? And when you have a
yeah,
lifelong condition like that, it's easy sometimes to, I mean, we all at some point just want to quit. We don't want to have to keep doing all the things, right? We want to be able to eat what we want to eat and do what we want to do. And,
exactly.
like I call it my
Yeah.
inner 2-year-old that stamps her foot and says, but I don't want to go to bed.
No, I don't want to go to bed and I want to eat that.
Exactly.
Even if it does
Exactly.
have chocolate and stuff that, you know. But I think it's in those times because we're human, right? After all. So maybe at some point we think, okay, we let the ball drop and we think, I'm feeling better. I don't need to do all of this stuff. We let the ball drop. And maybe we're fine until suddenly we decide we're going to do something else because we've been fine. So we're going to try. And then comes the flare.
Right.
And you think, oh, no, really? And it's hard when that flare comes along, because it's like you don't want it. You don't want the pain. When you've been in remission for a while and the pain comes back because of something you've done, it's always good not to lose sight of, okay, I have plans. I've got to get them out of the drawer. They worked in the past. Maybe I need to tweak them to my current, situation, because that's it. They need to change. Plans need to be able to change, and they need to be flexible. Um, and I'll come out of it. And you do. So, the flare will go. It's easier second time around, even you're more resistant towards it. Um, because you know that you have the tools.
That's
And
right.
hopefully.
That's right. And I think sometimes it's important to sort of test the boundaries, right? I mean, you know me and Melissa, we've talked about it here on the podcast, but whenever we get together, we always end up doing crazy things. Accidentally went rock climbing once. And, that's a whole story. There's an episode on it. You
Yeah.
can find it. But I think sometimes those things are good because we did things we did not think that we could do. And to
Yeah.
be able to go through them, it's like, oh, okay, my body actually can do this now. I couldn't
Mm.
before, right? If I had tried that years ago, that would have been a recipe for disaster. But now it like opens up a little bit of a door. And the opposite, I think, is also helpful when you stop doing things and then you realize, oh, nope, that one was important.
That one, yes. And you can tell when you stop doing it because of how, it impacts on your body or your mind. Um, but yeah, that does happen when you test limits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And as human beings, we will test our limits all the time.
Mm-hmm.
All the time. It's incredible. So yeah.
So today I want to talk about that self-care routine, right? So I just to start with what is self-care? The way I personally define that is taking care of yourself the way that you would take care of someone that you love and that you're responsible for. And I tell you what, taking care of my cats has shown me a lot of what self-care is. It's not always the going to the spa kind of self care.
Right.
Sometimes it's going to the doctor when you don't want to go to the doctor, taking care of yourself. But I think the important thing, like if I could have you guys take one thing away from this conversation from me, we'll have some takeaways from Micky, but from me would just be your self care is not meant to be a to do list. It's meant to be how you take care of yourself. And for me, it's sort of the motivation behind why we do everything that we do and sort of the attitude with which we do it, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
for you, Micky, how do you define self-care? What is self-care for you?
I think self-care is the actions we can take, specific actions, right, that will improve how we're feeling. So it's like you say, it's not going to the spa, but it might be going to the sauna, because you know that. And going to the spa, okay, if you come out of the spa and you have no more pain, and but yeah, it's taking deliberate action, and in building up a plan, which is depending on where you're at, right? And it's not that something that has to be rigid. It's not something that, okay, I've got to do this, and that. No, it's got to be. And there's a phrase that I read yesterday, but I've heard it before, like all phrases. Uh, it's not a destination, it's a journey. And with fibromyalgia, if you can keep it up, you will get the best result from it. And also, it will work together really nicely with whatever treatment your physician, doctor, psychiatrist, or whatever has given you. Because we have so many things to contend with in a fibro body. We've got a whole range of symptoms, and we've also got comorbidities, which might be other conditions. So, we've got so much to deal with that The medication alone, most of the time, some people are very lucky, but most of the time won't be enough. But self-care is interesting because it's like a challenge and it teaches you things about yourself. It's continuous growth, and you can discover the most amazing things. The thing is how you view it, and sometimes, it's necessary to have like mindsets shifts, and the way you look at things makes a huge difference.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And learning how to care for yourself, and putting yourself first. The other day, I listened to an interview, and this woman asked, okay, if you choose three of your favorite people, and without answering, who would they be? Right? So everybody was, so who would the three favorite people be? And then she asked, are any of you among those three favorite people? It's
Wow.
like people don't put themselves in their favorite person. And this is, it's you've got to be there amongst your favorite people to start promoting all this, okay, self-care, self-kindness, self-compassion, self, and not feel like the most selfish, guilty person on earth. So, and also you can't be giving if you haven't got to give. So if you're low on energy, if you're in pain, if you're distraught, what are you going to give? I mean, yeah, you probably will, but you'll be more in pain, more fatigued, more distraught. And that has to stop.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree with that.
That
We
was a very
do.
long answer to your
No, that
question.
was great, Micky. That was great. We do tend to always put ourselves last. And I was thinking
Hmm.
about it when you were saying self, 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 and how do we do that and not feel selfish? Because we are talking about making this all about you, right? And most of us have been taught that when we make it all about us, that's bad.
Yes, that's changing though. That's changing, thank goodness. But yeah, I mean, but this is not, people forget to tell themselves because we compare, right? We have this tendency to compare. Oh, but so and so can, and so is doing. And my mother used to, and my grandmother, hey, first we need to find out if all those people you're comparing yourself with have fibromyalgia, right? So it's not that you're doing it the self for you. You've got a condition to manage, which can be complex. Um, it can be traumatic because, I mean, there's a whole variation of symptoms and people feel it all so differently. Um, so if you don't take care of yourself, by taking care of yourself, you're doing so many good things as well. You're leading by example. You're actually by you're showing others how they can help you. Because asking for help can be so hard, right? Because we've got to be able to do it. No, why? Who says?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot to learn, which is good, I think.
Yes, I totally
Yeah.
agree. There
Mm.
is a lot there. And it's so interesting that just a couple episodes ago I was talking with Angie about being independent. And part of being independent is also being in community, right?
Yeah.
It's an important part of how we age well, how we live well, is being in community. And some of that is being able to ask for help. I think, I had this thought the other day that, I personally can't do everything, but I can get everything done. And the
That's
difference being
wonderful.
asking for help, right? Or if I
Yes.
don't have the skills, finding somebody with the skills or delegating things or, whatever it is. I think
Yeah.
that having other people help us really is an important thing. And especially when we're dealing with a condition, like you said, we've got a health condition that gives us special needs. You might not be thinking of yourself that way, but
Mm.
that's true. Fibromyalgia bodies have particular needs, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And all the bodies are different on top of everything.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, comparison will get us nowhere. And I think getting everything done rather than doing everything yourself, I thought that was wonderful. It's smart.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it's smart. It's okay. There's nowhere that says that you've got to do everything. And I think one of the things that is an enemy is for us is perfectionism, right? The judge, the yeah, if we have to delegate, we delegate. If we have to ask for help, if we have to, I often work on boundaries with clients, and it's okay. How many kids do you have? Okay, four. Okay, one, two, three, four. Go on the fridge. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Who's going to do what? You know, and if it doesn't get done, it doesn't get done. You don't go and do it. Right? So until everybody adjusts, and I mean, this is just a small example, until everybody adjusts and falls into line, it may be chaos for a while.
Right. Especially if you've been the one that's been doing all the things.
It's so hard to stop.
Yeah.
That towel on the floor remains on the floor until, and the kids' bedrooms, close the door, count up
Just
to
don't look.
100. Yeah. Yeah. What's more important at the end of the day? So, really, who are you doing this for? So, if you think, oh, I've got to do this, this, that, and the other, okay, stop. Who are you doing it for? Is it essential? And I mean, you've got to start having all these honest, questions and answers with yourself. Have a session, have a go.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think it can be really helpful to talk to somebody else with this stuff because sometimes there are things that we feel like we have to do or that have to get done that somebody else looking in from the outside who doesn't have all the stuff that goes with the thoughts, right? Can look at it and
Mm.
say, actually, no, you don't. Right.
No,
So
you
it
don't,
can
and you
be really
don't.
helpful,
If you're so,
especially if you've got somebody
mm.
who also has fibromyalgia and knows what living with that is like.
Yes, it's important to, if we can, it's not always easy to find the right kind of support, right? Because uh, so many people don't understand this. And
Yeah.
so don't get disappointed if you're not finding the right kind of answers. You probably haven't asked them in the right place. Um, so, creating your support, building up your support team, if you want to call it that, with people you can talk to, with the right kind of doctors, with the right kind of physical therapy, because you've got to approach this from a not social. That's not the word. And I can't think of the word now. It's gone. Hey, fibromyalgia. Hello. So we've got different pillars in self-care, right? You've got mental health, physical health, environmental, and so you've got to take everything into account. And you build up, depending on what you need the most, your support team for the physical, the social, the psychological, the and that's why if you can imagine these pillars as holding up your fibro body, supporting your fibro body, they're essential, right? Um, and maybe what supports your fibro body today doesn't tomorrow. Hey, that's okay. You change it. Uh, So say you're starting, right? Say you're starting with a self-care plan and you think, oh my God, what there's so many things. Where do I start? Where do I go? Okay, stop, 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 stop. Stop. Communicate with yourself, essentially. So build in the 5-minute pauses during the day, once, twice, 3 times a day, as many as you can, or you feel comfortable with. And eventually, you start having this two-way conversation. You bring your body back into the fold because we've bashed it out of shape and put it aside so that we can just carry on. So poor body's been relegated over there. So bring it back and start, have a conversation. Okay, so what does it? I know you say she. Uh,
Yes,
Me,
I do.
yeah, you do.
Purposefully.
Yeah. For
Because I
me,
think, like you said, we do tend to like our body is this thing over there, right? And when we switch those pronouns around a little bit, he, she, it doesn't work so well if you're non-binary, but if you can say he, she, it makes your body an actual like living, breathing thing instead of like a thing, right?
yeah, yeah. And I mean, after all, it's received or it's reacting or it's to things that we are probably doing and can change. I mean, fibromyalgia is not because of things we've done. It's not, it's not a punishment. It's not because we've done things wrong. And we might be genetically unfortunate, or maybe we've had an accident somewhere along the way that's tended. I mean, who knows, right? It's still not very clear. But there are triggers. So identifying your triggers comes into self-care so that you can slowly start modifying it. So, but all of this is, you can't get this information if you don't have this conversation with yourself,
Right.
right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, the first thing is stop, 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 and
Start to
become
listen.
aware. Yeah,
Yeah.
start to listen.
Yes,
Start to
I love
listen.
that. I love that.
Mhm.
It's interesting watching you talk about self-care because when we get on that specific topic, your face lights up. So I would love to just ask you, Mickey. I mentioned before we started recording that I don't actually know the answer to this question, but how did this aspect of taking care of ourselves, how did this become like your thing? Because it very clearly is. I mean, I'm sure it's self-care is something that's really important to your own routine, but why is it that your face lights up when you talk about this?
Well, I remember this happened when I was doing the advisor course. And I don't know if it's still like this because this was a few years ago, but you talked about self-care there. Uh, and I just immediately connected with it. It was like, oh, this really resonates with me. And also because I've put it into practice, to be honest. Um, I've learned different ways to put it into practice. And because I felt the impact and I see how it impacts other people, self-care, self-care. Okay, is that actually possible? Oh my God, yes. Um, you know, um, and having come from a background of probably abuse or, different things that I've been through, self-care for me was like reconnecting with a part of me that I'd forgotten existed. Um, it gave me or my fiber a voice, which I think is like, oh, if you don't give it a voice, you can't make it visible. So it gave me so many tools, and I think I would love for everyone to have these tools to 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 be able to manage their fibro and not to be managed by it, to make their fibro understood, to communicate better, to take the time they need for themselves, to implement this self-kindness. I don't know, I could go on and on. But yeah, and it makes all the difference.
It really does.
It does make all the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I just want to pause here too, because I think a lot of times when people hear us talk like this, sometimes I'll get comments like, okay, that's self-care is nice and all, but I want to talk about how to really fix my fibromyalgia. And we're not saying that you don't need other treatments or therapies, but I do think self-care is the thing that makes all that other stuff work and work better, right? Your
Yeah.
doctor might prescribe a medication. Self-care is what helps you take that medication as prescribed, right? Your doctor might prescribe physical therapy. Self-care is part of doing the things the physical therapist has asked you to do, right? But it's
Yeah.
also about calming down our nervous system, right? With fibromyalgia, we get stuck in fight or
Totally.
flight, right? And
Mm.
so much of self-care is about calming that down. And like you said, just coming back into conversation with our bodies so that we even know, is this working or not working? Because we're now able to hear what our bodies are saying to us, right?
Yeah. And it covers so many aspects, because it covers nutrition as well. And it covers, so it's, I don't know, it's like taking inventory sometimes. It's like, okay, I've got this, and the other. So, okay, what is it I want to deal with the most? Or what is the first thing I want? Because it's not also about implementing 150 things, because
Right.
you'll soon become overwhelmed. So it's identifying that one thing that you want to work with, or that you feel, and you know, undoing this ball of wool and untangling it and saying, okay, this is where the beginning is. This is the start. And implementing one thing at a time. So you try that, and if it doesn't work, you can change it, you can modify it, you can try something else. And the thing about, not it's not the be all and the end all of everything, is of course you might need medication, and of course you need other treatments. I mean, that's what I mean by so many different aspects to or pillars to sustain it, because you'll probably need acupuncture, or you'll probably need, but it's how you think about it, right? It's okay, oh, really? Do I have to do this? Well, give it a go. Go on, be curious. See
Mhm.
what happens. It's not mandatory. Be curious. Be curious about your body. Be curious about, does this work or doesn't it work? Um, So yeah, it could go on for hours, really. It's yeah.
Yep, yep. I hear you. I hear you. This is one of my
Mm,
favorite topics to talk about too,
mm,
the chapter in my book on self-care was actually the first chapter I wrote, even though it's one of the last chapters in the book,
mm.
because it is such an important topic. And for me, it was when I was able to make that mindset shift from my body is this broken thing that I wish I could escape from, to thinking about my body and I being on the same team, wanting the same thing. My body wants to feel good. I want to feel good. It's not,
Yeah.
my body isn't the enemy, right? That was
No.
when things started to change for me. Um, it's just the way it is. So if you're
I
listening to
remember
this,
something that you said
yeah, yeah.
was like, your body is doing the best it can with what you're giving it. So, you know,
And
that's
and part of that too is, what are you giving it? Right? Are you giving it criticism and anger and distrust and all those negative things, or are you giving it love and attention? You know,
yeah, your body is precious. I mean, it's precious. It's going through a difficult time for sure, but it's precious. Think of it like that, because eh, I mean, soon probably with artificial intelligence, who knows? But right now, if something breaks, we can't just go to the chemist and say, okay, give me a new hand, give me a new, I don't want to feel this anymore. No, we still have to work at it. And this is what we've got to work with. So let's work with it.
Mm-hmm. One of my favorite quotes is about how this is the only place we have to live. You've got to take care of your body because it's the only place you have to live.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's you.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? It's not just your body, it's you.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's
And
right.
it's worth trying. It really is.
It is. And the rewards are so rich too when you can develop that. I say often that one of the big differences between maybe me and you listening is how well I know my body. And I know how, if I do this thing, this is how I will feel. And if I feel this way, this is how I get back to my normal. And a lot of that is just simply how well I know my body and how different things affect it and all of
Yeah.
that. It is a key.
Yeah. Having said that, I remember I went to a doctor. No, it wasn't this long ago. And he kept recommending all these things for me to take, right? And I kept saying, well, no, because that thing I know causes this, that, and the other. By the third time that I said, well, yeah, but that, he got so mad. He said, I'm the doctor here, not you. And I said, yeah, I get that, but this is my body, and I know how it responds to everything you've said.
That's right.
And I just found another doctor and found a better doctor, and that's part of self-care too, right?
Yes,
Not putting
100%.
up with whatever comes your way.
Hmm.
You've got to sort of keep looking. There are some good doctors out there.
There are, and sometimes it can be
Mm.
a journey to find them. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes no, most of the time, I think. Um,
Yeah, I would
yeah.
agree.
But I mean, you've explained this. It's because there's not enough fibromyalgia education out there, right? It's not because the doctors don't want to help. Hopefully, it's because a lot of them just
They just don't
don't
know.
have that insight. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So for the person listening who is like, okay, I got it. I'm with you, but like how? Because I think that is the biggest objection that I get from students and clients is like, okay, fine, this all sounds great. You've sold me. But like on a practical level, how the heck am I supposed to do this? My life is already so full. I already don't have enough energy. How do we actually start to incorporate that self-care? So how do you help your clients with that?
Well, that's an interesting question. I try and meet my clients where they're at. So for somebody who has a really very difficult or tight schedule, I sort of say, okay, let's start with one. Start with one. So, but that's part of, in a way, homework. Sorry, guys. But yeah, you've got to do this conversation with yourself. Choose one. And maybe it's something like, okay, breathing exercises, right? And you think, where am I going to fit this in? Work with your calendar. I mean, it might sound daft, but work with your calendar because what you see, especially for people who do work with calendars, you open your calendar every morning, right? And it's going to say there, on the way to work, if in the train or by car or before I put the computer on or while it's warming up, breathe. I mean, even if it's 3 minutes or two or one, your breakfast. Have it sitting down by the window and choose a window that has sunshine coming through so that you're getting that, sun ray that your body so desperately needs. Build in, stack routines onto other routines that you have so that it's not a brand new routine that suddenly comes out of nowhere and it feels like, oh my God. So if you're already doing, I don't know, like say you go to the gym. This is for somebody who's okay with their symptoms, right? But say somebody's doing Pilates. Okay, doesn't matter. Remember to do your 2 minute stretching before, 2 minute stretching afterwards, before and after. You're going on a holiday, okay? Take preventative action. What can you do to make it easier? And just look at your calendar and generally think, okay, what can I do to make this easier? Put it in. How can I shuffle things around to have more space? Because sometimes we don't think of our calendars in that way. So, okay, put space in, right? My
Yes.
space, my time, self-care time.
Yes.
Pencil it in. It's an appointment with yourself. What can I do? How do I show up for myself today? If working with a calendar is not for you, just when you wake up in the morning, one of the first questions, put it on a post-it where you can see it the minute you get up, or when you go to the bathroom, write it. I've done this. Write it with a felt tip on the mirror. Hello, face. What does that say? How am I going to show up for myself today? Okay, how are you going to show up for yourself today? Just questions.
Mm-hmm.
And goals, have goals. Okay, goals. I struggle with goals, so I think of it as I want to get from A to B. And whenever I want to get from A to B, if I'm going somewhere, I look at Google Map. So I need a Google goal, right?
Right.
How am I going to do this? Small, 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 small baby steps. So maybe you can put that in your calendar too, or on the fridge, or on a magnet, or written. I write on a board because I'm a visual person. So if you're a visual person, you can make it pretty or not. You can just write it on a board. You can stick it on the fridge. But you have to start somewhere. So
And it
pick
doesn't have to be big.
one. It doesn't have, on the contrary, maybe don't choose the most difficult thing. Choose something that's easy, that you know is going to be easy for you, and start there.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I think so often we see where we want to be, right? Like maybe you see, oh, maybe I could have my fibromyalgia in remission someday. But like you say, from point A to point B, there's a lot of little steps there. And
Exactly.
sometimes we try to skip over all those steps. And it starts with the little baby things.
Yeah. Just map it out. Map it out as if as if it were a journey, literally. Okay, so from here to here, and it's not the end of the journey, right? It's from here to here, I'm going to need this. Okay, that. And then you go on to the next one. But you'll feel positively reinforced when you manage to do that little thing rather than set yourself up for failure by putting yourself right. I want to be over there, which is very far. And it's like, it's so discouraging. So just one,
That's
even
right.
if it's using amber glasses at night to build up the
Mm-hmm.
going to bed routine.
That's right. That's right. One
Yeah,
little thing at a time.
one little thing.
Yeah, I love that. Now, you have put together a handout for folks that can help with some of this. Why don't you tell us
Yeah.
about that?
Well, that is a very long handout, actually.
An
It's more like
ebook,
an ebook.
perhaps.
But yeah, one thing that I would like everyone to take into account is that it's for you to browse, find something that you think, oh, this resonates with me. Okay, I'm going to pick that. Pick one because there's loads of stuff in there. So pick one thing and try it. And always be curious about what you're trying. Remember not to have these great expectations. Keep it real. So you're not looking for a super duper result. You're looking for something to move. If something moves, that is good. You're already moving rather than staying stuck. Because sometimes we stay stuck, the headlamps, we're like, got these headlamps shining so into our eyes and we're just paralyzed. Take one small, tiny little step and see how it feels. And just the act of doing that will probably then get you onto the next one. And the next one. And you build up. And if you do one, hey, celebrate.
That's right. Yep. Yep. So if you want to grab Micky's ebook, the best way to do that, and we'll have a link to this in the show notes, is just to send her a message on Instagram and just say, "Hey, I heard the conversation with Tami. I'd love a copy of your self-care ebook," and she will send that to you. And like she said, think of this like a menu. Right? When you go to a restaurant, you're not going to eat everything on the menu. You're going to pick what you want to try that time. And so think of the list like that.
Yes. And something that's very important on this menu is depending on how you're feeling one day or the next day, that might change. It's like when you've got a dodgy tummy, you don't go for the ice cream with the apple tart or whatever. It's like, okay, today I need something different. Choose something different. And in the ebook, it also tells you how to have a survival flare plan, how to do it, the different things you can do, because they happen. And choose them according to where you're at now. Where would you like to start?
That's right. It is okay to choose the things that feel easy and the things that feel fun and the things that feel doable, right?
Yes, the things that feel doable. Start there. It's like, it's like we were saying a little while ago, set yourself up for success and not for failure.
That's right. That's right.
Mm.
Awesome. Well, as we wrap up today, Micky, I would love to give you the chance to talk to that person out there who is just really struggling with their self care, even just maybe the concept of self care, right? I think sometimes we have people that don't know how to take care of themselves because it hasn't been modeled for them, or maybe they haven't been in relationships that were all that caring. So I would love for you just to speak to from your heart to the person listening who is like maybe really struggling with this.
Yeah, it depends on how you can view self-care, I think. Especially if you've, like you said, coming from difficult situations where self-care is like, what are you talking about? I'm dragging myself through life. But self-care is the beginning, the beginning of a path to hope. It's the beginning of the path to shining a tiny light. It's the beginning of finding something that you deserve. And you deserve it. I mean, people deserve it. People deserve to feel better. People deserve, to be treated with respect, it annoys me sometimes. Sorry. I'll dial it back. You deserve the best outcome. I mean, why not? Why on earth not? Because somebody told you you were undeserving? No, that's somebody else's concept. So you've got to start building your own perceptions, your own worthiness, your own self-love. Sounds weird, self-love, but the more you build yourself up, you'll feel better. And then you'll find better things out there for you in life because your mind will shift. So there's a whole new world out there. So it's just taking that one step and everything else will come. So be brave.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Be
I love
curious.
that. I love that. Be brave and be curious. Yeah.
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 Well, it has been such a pleasure having you on
Oh,
today,
it's been lovely
Micky.
being here. Mhm.
And for people who want to get in touch with you, is Instagram the best way to?
It's the best way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to
Yeah.
share your
Oh, really?
tag?
I can't remember it. Well, it's at Micky Fibro Coach.
Awesome. And we'll have that in today's show notes too. So just
Good.
go look for that. And for you listening, just hang on. I'm going to have a couple more resources just sort of based on the things we talked about today. If you want to dig deeper into making your calendar work for you, dig deeper into getting to know your body, we've got a couple other episodes that I can refer you to that will help you dig a little bit deeper. And of course, don't forget to go grab Micky's ebook. It is for free. Just go on Instagram there, shoot her a message and say, hey, can you send that to me? And she'd be happy to do that.
Yeah, for sure. I'd love to.
And that wraps up my conversation with certified fibromyalgia coach, Micky Beaton. As I mentioned at the beginning of today's episode, Micky is one of the coaches you can schedule a consultation with on our Find a Coach page. To schedule with Micky or any of our students or coaches, just go to findafibrocoach.com or use the link in today's show notes at fibromyalgiapodcast.com/166. Now, as Micky and I were talking today, a few extra episodes came to mind. So if you would like to dive deeper into some of these topics, I've got a few suggestions for you. The first episode I would recommend is actually the first full episode of this podcast. It's episode number 2, Your Body Isn't the Enemy. You can also find an abbreviated version of the class lecture that Micky said changed things for her during the advisor class. That abbreviated version of the lecture you can find in episode number 9. If you would like to learn more about how to make your calendar work for you, check out episode 44. In that episode, I walk you through an exercise that I give to all of my students and clients, which is to help you create your dream week. And I actually, if you watch the video, you can actually watch me make mine. And that can give you some good ideas about how you can better make your calendar work for you. Another great episode to check out is number 47, Writing Your Body's Owner's Manual. This is a great way for you to start making note of the things that you begin to learn about your body. So you can check that out too. The last episode I'll share is the one where Melissa and I talk about accidentally climbing a mountain. You'll find that in episode 89, Adventures Are Still Possible with Melissa Swanson. And we will link to all of those episodes in today's show notes. Just go to fibromyalgiapodcast.com/166. The last thing I want to share before I wrap up today's episode is some information on our next Living Well with Fibromyalgia virtual summit. This is a special holiday edition that will run during October that will be focused on how you can get through the holiday season with more energy, less pain, with some grace, and without a flare-up. 7 of my coaches are going to be joining me to cover everything from navigating food choices during the holidays when you're having to maybe serve a meal to a bunch of different people, or maybe you're eating at somebody else's house. We'll also talk about some holiday travel tips, and Micky is going to be sharing information on how you can continue to practice good self-care during the hectic holiday season with all of its extra demands. So we will be sharing more details on the summit and who our speakers are and what they'll be covering as we get closer. The summit will begin in October 2025. So if you'd like, I would recommend going out and signing up to be notified when registration opens. That way you can sign up right at the beginning and get those early bird bonuses. So to sign up for that, just go to fibrowellness fibrowellnesssummit.com and watch and make sure you get all those S's in the middle. It's fibrowellnesssummit.com. You can also just use the link in today's show notes, which is fibromyalgiapodcast.com/166. Now I've got this week's listener shout out for you. This comes from Natalie. She actually sent me this message after she had her consultation with Micky. And since Micky was our guest today, I thought it would be appropriate to share this comment from Natalie. She said, Micky was amazing. And she put amazing all in caps. Micky was amazing. Seriously, brilliant. I am going to be working with her and can't tell you how grateful I am to you for running such a superb and necessary business. So if you are thinking about having a consultation with Micky, just know Natalie says that she was amazing and brilliant. So you've got nothing to fear there. So we will go ahead and wrap it up for today. Make sure and come back next time. We will be sharing a little bit of information about the Sherry Little Foundation. Now, the beginning of September, we are going to open up applications to give away 10 $1,000 grants through the Sherry Little Foundation. So I'll be sharing more information about that in our next episode. You can also find the Sherry Little Foundation at sherrylittlefoundation.org. And Sherry is spelled Sherri. sherrylittlefoundation.org. So I'll talk a little bit more about that next week. But if you are in need, if you're limited on financial resources, then I recommend you definitely check this out. We're going to be giving away $10,000 during September 2025, and that application window will open right at the beginning of the month. So make sure you check that out now. See you back here next time.